And if someone on their side becomes radicalized enough, either ideology or doomsday rhetoric, they resort to violence. September 10th will be a day we can never forget. But for as dark as a day that was, it has been amazing watching not just conservatives, but the American people rally together in support of Charlie and his family. He has become a mainstream symbol for freedom, for love of country, and for spiritual revival. And on the flip side, it has been really disgusting seeing how the left has responded to Charlie's death. I would argue that the reaction to Charlie's assassination has even been worse for their cause than the assassination itself.
Yep.
Millions of regular Americans have never heard of Charlie, or we've never heard of him. Regular citizens going about their business. Before the shooting, never heard of that. Started doing two things. One, started watching videos of Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
And liking it.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many people that have said, I never really watched the guy today, started watching his videos. Man, that guy's hardly ever wrong. People started paying attention. He had been platformed, millions of people. And number two, people got to witness in real time the monsters many of the left had become. And we're not talking about anonymous trolls on the internet. Doctors, lawyers, judges, nurses, neighbors and friends, posting some of the most vile things imaginable about Charlie, celebrating his death, glorifying violence. The left doesn't have just a speech problem, they have a violence problem.
Yep.
The Ferguson riots 10 years ago, the George Floyd riots 3 months of the summer of fire and love that they told us about, mostly peaceful destruction of our communities, the attempted Trump assassination, the second attempted Trump assassination, the radical Hamas leftist protesters that laid siege to our college campuses. How many people had their Teslas destroyed because Elon Musk had the nerve to try to cut government spending? What did we do after the assassination? We prayed. We cried. We held vigils together and comforted each other. What did they do? Ran on social media to celebrate Charlie's death. Then they did cry, but that was only after they got fired from their jobs. Sadly, the polling on political violence backs this up. Shortly after Charlie was murdered, YouGov, the pollster, asked the question, do you consider it to be acceptable or unacceptable for a person to be happy about the death of a public figure they oppose? Of those that identify as very liberal, 25% said that it was acceptable to be happy. 25. Conservatives, it was 3%. Then they asked if political violence is justified in order to achieve political goals. 25% of them said yes. It's okay to engage with violence with your political opposition. Another poll conducted by NCRI earlier this year found over half of self-identified progressives says believe that killing Elon Musk or Donald Trump is somewhat justified, or very justified. You don't get this way by accident. The ideology and rhetoric on the left is cultivating this mindset. And much of the corporate media knows how bad this looks for them, which is why they've been working overtime to churn out propaganda and try to confuse the public about what happened with the assassination. First they tried the, everybody just needs to calm down, cool it with inflammatory rhetoric. Both sides just need to respect civil discourse. Are you kidding me? That's exactly what Charlie was doing. He was engaging in civil discourse, civil debate. He was behaving in a nonviolent way, respectful manner. His reward was being killed in a politically motivated attack. Then they turned next to people turns out that Tyler Robinson was a secret MAGA operative who was upset that Charlie wasn't right-wing enough. That kind of blew up in the last week, didn't it? A few more people lost their jobs over that one. So now we're on to it's just too difficult to know what the real motives are. It's too cryptic, How do you know really what happened? I mean, even though Tyler was going around telling people that he hated Charlie, was in social media posts saying that, and scribbled fascist on the bullets. I know that watching the media on the left, if there is a difference between the two, can be infuriating. I know it's for me. But we can't lose sight of the most important fact. Charlie was killed because of how effective he was. He was killed because we are winning. We are winning the fight. You have the left on the run. They are terrified about how much right now the public is turning against them. They see it. First on the issues evident by Trump's victory. Now, based on human decency and morals, based on their behavior. So we don't need to change course, but we do need to stand firm and fight harder than ever to help fulfill Charlie's vision for Arizona.
Amen.
And that is what we will be doing at the Free Enterprise Club and focusing on over the next year. 2026 is a huge year for our state, and we need to make sure we're ready. And that starts with making sure that we protect our right to freedom of speech without fear of harassment, violence, or intimidation. Now, the club has been involved in several different free speech. Free speech has been something that we have fought for to protect for years and years. It's been the top priority for us since day one I took over the organization. The day after the shooting, I was actually down at the Supreme Court hearing oral arguments over a lawsuit that we have brought, in conjunction with the Center for Arizona Policy and the Goldwater Institute, challenging Proposition 211. Now, if you haven't heard of Prop 211, that's a law that requires that conservative organizations will be forced to hand over all of our donors to the government anytime we try to engage in a cause or issue that we believe in. It's so broadly and poorly written that they say, we want to make sure that people are disclosing related to candidates. Well, they wrote the thing that you say a candidate's name or put a candidate's name in any sort of publication or campaign literature, that we have to disclose all of our donors. So if we want to do a candidate scorecard, let people know how they perform, let regular people know, let our activists know, let legislative districts know around state how people are actually doing their jobs. During election season, we then have to disclose all of our donors. There's only one reason the left wants our donors. They want to be able to go after them. They want to be able to harass them.
That's right. Yep.
Do you know who had a 211 complaint filed against them last month? Turning Point. Turning Point had a complaint filed against them. Now, why do you think the left wants to know who their donors are? We know what they think of their leader. We know what they'll do if they get that information. We have to make sure we protect our right to be able to freely exchange ideas.
Amen.
We're optimistic that we're going to bring this doctrine out of our The other area that's important when it comes to free speech deals with our good old friend Adrian Fontes. Many of you have been following some of our work. Those of you have been pretty active in battling him over the election procedures manual. It's the rule book used for election officials on how to conduct elections. Well, Adrian decided it was a good idea to stick a bunch of language in there that basically gives license to election officials and government officials to say, but you're trying to go outside the polling locations and peacefully hand out information, that if they believe that you're being if you're handing out offensive language or handing out offensive information, that you can be fined or arrested or charged. Now, who gets to decide if something's offensive? Adrian Fontes. Every morning, James T. goes on the radio and does something that Adrian finds offensive. So we sued over that. Good news is, we got an injunction put against that provisions in the election procedures manual. We have one more court. Adrian and I are going to appeal it, but we are currently winning on this and want to continue to take that forward. The new EPM, the draft EPM has been submitted, and we have submitted comments on that. Thanking everybody, all of our activists that assisted us in filing comments on it to make sure that our ability to engage in the political process peacefully is protected. Thank you, Marissa Hamilton over at EZAZ. Next, I want to talk a little bit about all of our different infrastructure projects. And I think what makes, again, what we're doing here so special in Arizona is that we are the only entity I know of, that state-based organization that effectively blends advocacy, policy, grassroots, litigation, communications to effectuate change in the state. We're doing all those things and doing them all together. Well, one of the big communications that we have been pushing out since last year we launched is don't CA my AZ. Don't California my AZ. We launched this program because we wanted a simple, effective message to explain to voters and to citizens all throughout the state what the radical left is trying to do to us. We actually pulled this. We wanted to see how effective is this message. If we use this and want to use this as a tool, is it effective enough? Is it simple enough? Do people get their arms around don't California my Arizona? So we did. We pulled it. Turns out that voters under the age of 60, when they understand that an elected official is trying to implement policies that are done in California here in Arizona, support by that politician drops by 15 points.
Good.
15 points. Incredibly effective message. And so what we're going to be doing, since it works so well in 24, is we're going to be ramping up the campaign on this again. We just launched our website for this, our social media page. We're going to be spending the next year making sure to hang every bad policy, every nightmare of California around every liberal politician here in the state. Knows how to call out those local politicians when they're doing it, when they're bringing in the crazy from California into Arizona. So you're going to see us on social media, you're going to see us online. You're probably going to see us put up more billboards again. Last year we put up billboards. We had one donor, I don't know if I'm going to mention his name today, but one generous donor who donated to us to be able to put up billboards. We put one up on the Arizona-California border. The message was, welcome Californians, but please don't California our Arizona.
Amen. Welcome to Arizona. Don't vote.
Another big initiative that we launched about a little over a year ago was a full-blown education and training program at the AZ Liberty Network. We wanted to make sure to give the tools necessary for all of our activists, all of our supporters to level up their game. In addition, anybody thinking about looking to run for office. And so here's what you see, and I want everybody to make sure if they don't have their phones out, but again, QR codes for some upcoming training classes that we have, and a couple different things that we're working on. One is a biblical citizenship training that we're doing with the Faith Alliance and the Liberty Network. That's a program we're actually doing in conjunction with some of our Faith Alliance coalition partners. Next class is going to be on October 4th. It starts again. So if you're wanting to better feel spiritually involved, bring your faith in this year, do the things that Charlie was always talking about. We do offer a biblical citizenship training class through Liberty Network if you're interested. Citizen lobbyists. We wanted to create a class for our activists to learn how to become their own citizen lobbyists. If you're interested in that, it is a great program. Our next class is going to be November 7th. Please consider signing up for that if you've not taken that class already. But lastly, the one I want to focus on the most is leadership training. We have to make sure we are identifying leveling up, recruiting, and training our next leaders in Arizona. The people thinking about running for office, the people looking about getting involved. There are so many positions that need to be filled all throughout the state. And so we launched our Liberty Leadership Program a year and a half ago, and it's grown like gangbusters. So many people that are now running for office went through this program, and it is the best way, the only one in Arizona, I believe, that kind of hits all facets on how to be successful in wanting to get engaged, involved, and become a future leader, a future candidate in the state. So we do have our next Liberty Leadership Program. The next class is going to be October 3rd, is when it's going to start. Registration is now open. If you are interested in signing up and wanting to become a leader in this state, please, please, please sign up for our Liberty Leadership Program next month. And then finally, we spend all this time at the Free Enterprise Club identifying, recruiting candidates, people that want to run for office, get involved, help save our state. But it doesn't do us a lot of good if we can't get them the support. We have to make sure that we can get them across the finish line. And that is what our Freedom Club PAC does. Our Freedom Club PAC is dedicated to helping support and elect candidates up and down the ticket, all the way from governor down to school board and city council. And what makes our Freedom Club PAC so special, it is the largest state-based PAC. It is the only mega PAC here in Arizona. What's a mega PAC? It's an organization that's able to find or recruit at least 500 unique donors to donate and support that PAC. We're the only conservative one. There are several liberal ones that are mega PACs here in Arizona. This is the only conservative one. And these are you, these are our people that have supported this PAC. Not like the left, not like Act Blue, that has their smurfs, and somebody sitting in India entering fake information for their PAC. I really hope the DOJ comes down on that. But because of the fact that we are a mega PAC, we can offer more support than any other PAC here in the state. So I ask everybody to please consider supporting it. On everybody's table, there is an envelope that has donor information or information on how to contribute to our Freedom Club PAC. Please, please consider supporting us through our PAC so we can support all these candidates who are working so hard to identify and recruit here in Arizona. Now, I know in the days after the assassination, I saw a lot of people asking, why even I got who's going to be the next Carolla? I don't think there'll ever be another Carolla. He was just so unique and special. I believe it's going to take all of us, to fill the void of Charlie Kirk. I challenge everybody, every day, take a few minutes, ask yourself, what can you do to help advance the conservative movement, the freedom movement here in Arizona? For every person, that's going to be something different. Everybody has their own talents, their own gifts. I know for me, I know I'm going to have to work harder. I know I'm going to have to take on new challenges. I know I'm going to do things that are going to get me out of my own comfort zone. I forgot to acknowledge my wife. Kirsten, please stand up. Kirsten, I really want to be involved. Please stand up. Kirsten's my rock. She gives me strength every day. And she helps me get me out of my comfort zone. The group, the organization, what we've done wouldn't have happened without her. It's not a coincidence that everything started growing after I married her. So. We are all going to have to pick up the slack. Let's do everything we can to honor Charlie's legacy.
Amen.
Let's use his sacrifice as endless motivation to take on the evil forces trying to rip our country apart.
Amen.
Let's fight together as Charlie would have wanted to keep Arizona free. Thank you so much again for everybody coming to the summit today. Thank you for all your continued support. We're powered by you. We all love you guys. Thank you so much.
Our keynote for this morning is a comedy legend. Host of the Adam Carolla Show, the Guinness World Record holder for the most downloaded podcast, and one of the sharpest voices in American media. He's been a powerful voice on the craziness
Adam Carolla is up
of
next.
Democrat policies in California as well. As a matter of fact, he was speaking last night to a group talking about what was happening since the fires in California, which is basically nothing. And he was talking about how, why should we wait for things to crash before we start to change things? And someone asked me, hey, Adam, what about moving to Arizona? And Adam said, amongst other things, no. I got a personal connection with Adam Carolla. I once joined Adam for his totally topical TiVo trivia segment on his comedy tour. And to this day, I'm still the only guest that ever had a perfect score. They're still standing. To this day, perfect score. It's my pleasure to have Adam come to the stage and talk to us, keep us laughing, while tackling the serious topic of keeping Arizona, I should say California, out of Arizona.
Adam Carolla, everybody.
Thank you, guys. I gotta admit, I was told, well, what are we doing here today? Let's do 45 minutes of stand-up. And then they said, it's gotta be clean. We're at about 7 minutes of stand-up. And then they said, no, don't do stand-up. We want to talk about how bad California is. And I said, well, I can do a couple hours. So I have a lot of different thoughts, and basically what I did is just jotted down some notes, some stories, some anecdotes, and things I want to talk about. Also with some stand-up and some jokes in there too, because I figure there's room for that. First thing, I hope I'm leaving with one of these bad boys. And I was thinking about this. I love the idea. You guys see the wheels on this cooler? How come I spent my entire youth lugging everything? Our cooler was made of styrofoam and had duct tape on it, and I had it in my back like a Sherpa, dragging it down to the ocean. Trash cans, every Monday had to drag these metal trash cans up and down this asphalt driveway, sparks coming out. And as soon as I got rich, somebody said, why don't we put wheels on everything? It is weird that the wheel was invented thousands of years ago when we all dragged our luggage through the airport until like 10 minutes ago. And I was thinking about it. Why did it take us so long to put wheels on luggage? And then I realized, I think it's because it's called luggage. You're supposed to lug it. Anyway, I asked Kimmel if he wanted to come out here. He said, no I was texting yesterday with Jimmy Kimmel and Tucker Carlson, and I thought to myself, I think I may be the only human being on the planet who spoke to Jimmy Kimmel and Tucker Carlson in the same day. When I talk about California and its decline, I have born and bred there, lived there my entire life, and seen it sort of turning in on itself. And it's been going on for a while. And I guess, I don't know if it was Ernest Hemingway or somebody said, bankruptcy. When you go into bankruptcy, it's slow at first, and then it goes fast. And we're in the then it goes fast phase of California, sort of coming undone. And I can illustrate a couple of stories that speak to that. Years ago, I wrote a book, and in the book, I chronicled this anecdote, which is true. I used to drive from my place in the Hollywood Hills to my studio in Glendale, California. I think your Glendale's better than ours. And I used to go along Forest Lawn Drive. Forest Lawn was a long stretch of highway that ran along the cemetery, Forest Lawn. And I used to see every day a motorcycle cop backed up Forest Lawn driveway, hiding behind a tree with a radar gun, trying to give soccer moms and taxpayers a speeding ticket. On the other side of the street were illegals selling flowers for folks that wanted to spend time with Nana up at Forest Lawn. And I used to say, and this is 15 years ago, I go, what's the cop doing giving out tickets to citizens but doing nothing about this illegal bootleg street selling of flowers? Isn't this backwards? Why are they coming after the citizen and leaving alone the illegal? And that was 15 years ago. And now, by the way, as far as Los Angeles goes, it is lawless in terms of, now, if you pay taxes and you have a checking account, there's tons of laws for you. But if you'd like to be homeless, or you'd like to be illegal, or do whatever you wanted, there are no laws for you. And like I said, I'll give you a couple of illustrations. We recently, and I don't know if you guys heard this story, but it was crazy. There was a beautiful tree house somebody built in Sherman Oaks, California, and it had stayed there and delighted the kids in the neighborhood and been a fixture in the neighborhood for 20 years. And the city came and tore it down about 2 months ago. And the notion that the city of Los Angeles, and there's been no permits issued. I live in Malibu. There is nothing going on. There is no building in Malibu whatsoever. I live in the middle of it. I somehow survived. My dwelling did, but everything around is gone, and there is zero work going over there. But the point is in the middle of the rubble and the ashes and the no permits and the no rebuilding, they found the time and resources to tear down a taxpayer's treehouse because he hadn't pulled a permit for it. Now, like I said, I used to be a builder, so when I tell you there's nothing going on, there is nothing going on. Malibu, there's no glue land beams or Paralams or joist hangers or A35s or Keynote clips or all-thread or J-bolt. There's no CDX, half-inch struck one good one side, or 10 penny ring shake nails, nothing. Oh, I can keep going. They don't have any equipment over there either, no radial propane-powered slab grinders, no high-point saws, no paper valve squares, not even a hatch-handle fun 22-ounce waffle-headed frame hammer. Oh yeah. Unlike most comedians, I possess a skill. I'll tell you a couple other sort of anecdotal stories that are kind of interesting, I find. The Staples Center is, and I think if you wanted to sort of encapsulate what's going on in California, you know, Los Angeles is just basically the tip of the spear for California. So it's sort of like San Francisco, Los Angeles, but it's all the bad ideas of California end up in Los Angeles or San Francisco. That's what they coalesce. It's like a gutter for bad ideas. It just flows downhill and all ends up in Los Angeles. And years ago, I was on a boat with a guy who ran the Staples Center. The Staples Center was built and it kind of rejuvenated the downtown area of Los Angeles. And so I was on a boat with a guy, and we're just sitting around, and you know, when you're on a boat, you get to talking. You know, you have time, have a beer or so, and you get to talking. And I said to the guy, "You run the Staples Center?" He said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "You know, what's weird is I went to a Lakers game there not too long ago. Me and my son walked out of the place. When I walked out of the place, I was tripped over an illegal cooking ghetto dogs on a propane-powered shop." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. I hate it." I said, "These guys were all over your property. They're on the property. They're not down the street. They're on the property of the Staples Center." He goes, "Yeah, you don't think I know it?" He pulled his phone out, and he showed me a picture of one of those grills on his property, and in amongst the onions and the peppers and the hot dogs was a giant cockroach cooking on the grill. Now my mom was a bad cook, but even Chris Carolla. So he said, "I hate it." So I said to him, "Well, I don't get it. You're probably the biggest taxpayer in all of Los Angeles. Why don't you march down to the city council and tell them to clean this up?" And you know what he said to me? He said, "I don't want to get into trouble." The guy who runs the Staples Center did not want to be punished by the city council for asking them to do their job. That is a sad state of affairs. And as I was sitting around this morning and listening to all the great speakers, I have this thought, and I don't know if you guys ever have this thought, but I do have this thought. We talk about how necessary this is, but the reality is this shouldn't even exist. We should just have good policy. Why do we have to battle bad policy?
Amen.
If you think about it, it's sad that people like us need to have organizations like this. You take something common sense, for instance, the border. I don't know if you guys have a border. We have one in California. All right, let's really just philosophically try to break this down. We've got a president, President Trump, he says, "I want to close the border." So what's he going to do? "Well, I'd like to build a wall." Okay, so he brings a bunch of materials to build a wall. Then the Biden administration shows up and they go, "We don't want a wall." So what do? They collect all the material and they try to sell it for scrap. Then our president comes back and goes, "Now we're back in power. We would like to build a wall. Where is the material you sold for scrap? Let's go get that. Really think about it. It's a weird thing. It's like, I know their side, our side, he said, she said, but at a certain point, I just feel like I'm walking behind Democrats and they're just littering at the park and we're just picking it up.
Yep.
And they're angry at us for picking it up. It's funny. Oh, you know, it's interesting. I was in Hackman, Arizona. I was at the Hoover Dam. I guess I made it over the Arizona side. I was there. It's a totally true story. It was about 6-7 weeks ago. I was at the Hoover Dam, and I imagine you guys have been to the Hoover Dam. And I was I was looking down as a former builder. A lot of number 5 rebar there. And I was looking at it and I was marveling. I was just like, man, it is incredible what man is capable of. And then I looked up and I saw a sign that said it built, 31 or 35 or 36 or whatever it was. And then I realized they built the Hoover Dam in 5 years. And so I took a picture of the sign and I just tweeted it out. I was like, they built the Hoover Dam. This is what we can do, by the way. This is in the 30s. This is what we're capable of. And I tweeted out, and somebody tweeted me back, could you imagine how long it would take to build the Golden Gate Bridge in Gavin Newsom's California? Could you imagine building the Golden Gate Bridge and how long that would take in Gavin Newsom's California? And I tweeted back, people would die of natural causes waiting to commit suicide. And I started thinking about the money and the resources in California and the ways, but like I said, the Hoover Dam, they were talking about, on Monday Night Football, they're talking about building a new Bills Stadium. The Bills Stadium is going to be about $2 billion. And I had a little time and I looked up SoFi Stadium, the Rams Charger Stadium. Beautiful, amazing. $5 billion. But I thought, that's a lot of money, but you get a stadium. You get the Rams playing there, you get the Chargers playing there, you get Taylor Swift playing there, and Carolla sells out a couple of nights, Opening for Taylor Swift. But I realized at least you have something. You have a stadium, right? So then I thought, wait a minute, how much have we spent on that bullet train so far in California? 15 billion.
Right.
50, we could have 3 more SoFis or 20 Bills stadiums. We have no track, no trains. Also, I don't know, has anyone been to Merced? Has there ever been a human being who was like stuck in Fresno and said, I gotta get to Merced, but I don't know how?
I'm from
All right, let's see. So I wrote some stuff down. Wrote a couple jokes down too. I don't know if you guys have heard, but ICE is getting a little out of control over there where I'm from, California, Los Angeles. And it's getting a little dangerous because people are tipping people off, and they're saying when ICE is coming, and now ICE is fighting with people and throwing rocks at the van and everything. By the way, I love when Democratic politicians are like, these guys roll up in unmarked vans. Well, if you write ice in rainbow tape on the side of their van. You're going to give the bad guys a heads up, you know? So they pull up and there's fighting going on. And I figured out a way to get all the bad hombres to come to us. We would not have to go to them. We don't have to go to the barrio. We don't have to kick up their doors. We don't have to put ICE agents in danger. We could get them to show up to us in Los Angeles. We just put a big sign in front of the LA Coliseum that says, "Free cockfights for Raiders fans only." Anybody who walks through there is getting arrested and sent to Honduras. There'll be a couple of white guys in there too. Deadbeat dads, non-taxpayers, they're going to Honduras as well. And by the way, anybody who's protesting in New York, the Free Mangione crowd, they're getting rounded up and sent to Honduras as well. So I was thinking about ICE, and you guys got to deal with that. LA's, you know, the stupid signs that would abolish ICE, you know. And I was thinking to myself that the squad hates ICE, AOC hates ICE, they all hate ICE. And it's just the Immigration Customs Enforcement, right? It's just an acronym. So what are they so angry about? Men and women, sovereign nation, doing a job. And I thought it's the name. They don't like the name, ICE. Sounds so cold, so jagged, so personal, you know? I mean, in Top Gun, the biggest douchebag in the air was Iceman. So I came up with a foolproof way to save ICE. And this would work. It's a national organization. Just start it with the word national.
Nice.
Nice.
National Immigration Customs Enforcement. And good luck trying to abolish nice. I'd like to get that rally, AOC, abolish nice. And it would be a great recruitment tool because you would get a windbreaker that read nice agent on it. And once you got the windbreaker, you do whatever the hell you want. Like, what's that nice agent doing over there? Oh, looks like he's beating the crap out of a bottom. She must have done something wrong. He's a nice agent. All right, I like the joke. That's good for you. I'm looking for some clean stuff.
Nice. He's a nice agent.
There's budget. All right, I'll do this then. I have to hear. You guys seem pretty patriotic, but you watch the Olympics?
Yeah.
Watch the Olympics too, and I like the Olympics. I cheer America, obviously, but there is an event that is way more boring than it should be, because it should be exciting, and that's Olympic fencing. Fencing, it should be better. It is boring as hell, but what is fencing? Our country sword fights with other countries. It should be exciting. It's not. I would rather watch Mexicans put up fencing. I think that works in Arizona. Than actual Olympic fencing. And then I realized, well, what's so boring about it? Why is it a bad sport? Like, how can I spice it up? And then I realized, no, I think it's the outfits. They dress like X-ray technicians with a spaghetti sim on their head. I I got the wrong outfits. And then I realized I could fix Olympic fencing. Every country would be forced to wear the outfit of their swordsman from back in the day. That you would watch. So France would have a musketeer. The guy would have suede boots on and a feather in his hat and wax in his mustache, you know. Japan would have the samurai. United States, homeless guy with a machete. Well, we watch that. Things that are wrong with California. See, our politicians chase problems, but they never fix problems. It's essentially, it'd be like if your home had a rat infestation and all you did was put out traps, but you never figured out how the rats were getting in. They try to fix things after they're broken, but they never go to the source of the problem. And I said it's about 25 years ago. I was driving on the LA freeway, I think it was the 101, to go to Loveline Radio. And I drove under a freeway sign in Los Angeles, and I noticed there was barbed wire around the freeway sign. Have you guys seen this in Los Angeles? And I thought, oh, now we're in some sort of escape from New York hellscape we've entered. And there's and so I would say, look, you understand we're living in a city where we feel the necessity to put barbed wire around our freeway signs. And someone goes, well, yeah, because the gangbangers keep tagging them. I'm like, okay, we put toothpaste and deodorant and batteries in cages. Now, half the people I know in Los Angeles welded a cage underneath their car because they got their catalytic converter stolen too many times. We realize at some point we're just all going to be issued our own shark cage in Los Angeles and just walk around in a cage. So everything they do, and we have a city councilwoman. Her name is Nithya Raman. There's a great video of her addressing the city council. She's angry at Toyota for making their catalytic converter, which by the way is welded to the bottom of the car, too easy to steal. So she blames Toyota for this. Also, by the way, she literally gives a speech where she goes, it's too easy, it's incredibly easy to steal a catalytic converter. And I just thought, bitch, I could give you 2 weeks in a floor jack and you couldn't get that catalytic. And the Sawzall, also a bayonet saw, the syndicated saw. Sawzall is a brand name, it's like, anyway. Maybe an acetylene cutting ring. I don't know. So we have a bridge. We built a bridge in Los Angeles. It's called the 6th Street Bridge. And it was supposed to be nice, but it's now been taken over. They do street takeovers where everyone does donuts in the middle of the street and charges. The thing that's funny about the bridge is there's no lights in it anymore because they stole the copper. They stole the wire. We are at the stage in Los Angeles where they're stealing basic minerals and materials at this point. And so the city council said, well, we're not going to be able to replace it until we can figure out a way to burglar-proof the actual light. So we're going to have barbed wire around the freeway signs, cages around our catalytic converters, and grills and grids around our lampposts. So people, I have a better idea. Why don't we start busting criminals?
Yeah.
TV. It was a spot. I'm imagining there were a couple of Fox watchers out here this morning. I was watching Fox, it was about a year ago. I saw a commercial. You guys may remember this. It was for a face cream. And it was a woman, and she said 69 years old. She was giving a testimonial. And she said, this face cream works so well that when I go out with my daughter, people mistake us for sisters. And then she smiled and she laughed. And she said, it never gets old. And I thought, not for you. But I bet your haggard daughter's tired of this. That got a little day one for her. She probably don't go out with you anymore. It was, I watched the commercials, really, so you don't have to, but there is a commercial I keep seeing, and I can't figure out what was going on, because I watch the commercials as a little snapshot of sort of where we're at as a society, because commercials are 30 seconds of where we're, you know, watch a commercial from the 70s, that's where we were in the 70s. By the way, I did, reminds me of another joke, but I'll get to that. The commercial I keep seeing that I've never seen before is the all-over body deodorant. When did our entire body start stinking? I don't know. I see this movie commercial every 10 seconds, and I'm like, when did all this start? Because I've been watching commercials for 50 years. It was all underarm, not the whole body. And then I started thinking about, okay, why do we need this? Because you don't need deodorant for your forehead or your shins. You need it for the creases in life, you know? And I thought, you know, back in the day, you had 4 inches of crease on the right pit, 4 inches of crease on the left pit, and that gave you 8 linear inches of crease. And that's all we had to defunctify is 8 linear inches of crease. And now we're fat. And we got double neck roll crease, and side booby crease, and extended ass crack crease, and inner thigh back knee crease. We'll be crease now, people. I calculated it. The average American now has 241 linear inches of crease. So we got a lot to defunctify. And the thing that was funny about the commercial, you've seen the loony girl with the white tank top, she's so giddy. She goes, I didn't even know about this until my gynecologist informed me. I hope it was via email. Oh, we didn't just pop up and tell you that. This fun joke reminded me of another joke that I think you guys will enjoy. Speaking of TV, I used to watch TV when I was a kid. You know, I'd stay home from school, this would be in the 70s. And I lived in North Hollywood, California, we were poor. And I did learn some valuable life lessons from my mom, which was, we were on welfare and food stamps, and I said to her, one day, I was about 9, I just said, Mom, why don't you get a job? Because if you got a job, then maybe we could have stuff, you know? Drive a beater Dodge Dart, you know, air conditioning and stuff. You know, once you get a job, and she was looking and she goes, if I get a job, I'll lose my welfare. It was a great message to send to a young Carolla. But it did work, because I went, ooh, I'm doing the opposite of this bitch. That's what I want. Because I want air conditioning. So I was a bad student, and I would sit home, and I would watch TV. And by the way, back in the day, black and white, Zenith, 13 inches. 13-inch TV. The TV was deeper than it was wide. My TV was 13 inches across, 44 deep. I was staring into a poster tube. And I would sit there and I would watch commercials. And the commercials for daytime TV in the middle of the week were all truck driving schools. They had the Dudson School of Trucking, they had the Wally Phillips School of Trucking. It was all get to trucking, make good money, make your family proud, see America. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I thought, why is it every commercial I saw at noon on a Wednesday at home was for a truck driving school? And then I realized, oh, if you were home on a Wednesday at noon, you needed a damn job. Now, every daytime TV commercial is a lawyer with a class action lawsuit. Jeff Esquino, did you work in the shipbuilding industry? Did you work around Camp Lejeune? Did you poison your machine ladies with talcum powder? Pubic mesh explosion? Don't get off the sofa. Don't learn how to drive a truck. Don't have any dignity. You just sit there getting fatter and angrier, and we'll bring the mountain to your lazy ass mom. Thank you. See, I got some Trump jokes and some Biden jokes. You want some of those? I will say this. I did do a Celebrity Apprentice back in the day. And our last challenge we had to do was a stand-up comedy show. And I was supposed to roast Trump. And Trump would just stand there, bigger than life, arms folded right in front of me. And I had to roast him to his face. And the joke I said was this. I said, people ask me what Trump is like in real life. And I tell them, picture. Oh, wait a minute. It's been 10 years, let's say. Oh, I go, okay, what's Trump like in real life? I said, picture Don King, but with crazier hair and a broken moral compass. Which he did not like that. And then I said, the hair, you gotta see the hair. The hair is magnificent in real life. It moves, it undulates, it's alive. You see pictures of it, you gotta see it in real life. I said, in real life, it's hair. I said, you ever see footage of an underwater kelp bed? Clownfish darting in and out. And another joke I didn't tell back then because it hadn't happened, but I did think of it the other day when Trump was being dragged into court with all the lawfare and everything and shot at and all that. I was watching CNN and they said the only thing I've ever agreed with them about, which is I think we're turning Trump into a martyr. Because every time he gets dragged into court, he comes out more popular. Every time we try to assassinate him, he gets more powerful. And we're essentially turning Trump into a martyr, which I agree with. That's what happened. But not a traditional martyr. You know, when you think martyr, you think Gandhi, Jesus Christ, skinny guys in sandals and robes, you know? Not Trump. Not a traditional martyr. Like, no one has ever said, have you seen the martyr? He may be on the back nine at Pell. He could be in his private jet eating Chick-fil-A. I don't know. Biden jokes. I'll retire a couple of Biden jokes here tonight. It'd be a lot easier, but I had some thoughts. about Biden. First off, you know, there was a lot of he's too old. He's too old, and I wasn't part of his advisory team, but if I was, and the problem was the guy's too old, and people think he's too old for the job, I would have said, look, perhaps you should stop using the word malarkey. Just don't feel like the kids toss around malarkey. That's all. And also, it's funny, they wanted him to stay on the teleprompter, right? Do not scat, don't freeform it, you stay on that teleprompter, Joe. But he got into trouble even when he was on the prompter. Remember that? Remember that speech? Oh, thank God, it didn't come to fruition, but it was like, 4 more years! Pause. He went full Ron Burgundy. Yeah. But that's not his fault. That's the fault of the person that wrote the word pause on the prompter, because he's going to say what's on the prompter. If it's on the prompter, he said it. He's like, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Samsung. Well, you guys are fun, so I think I'll finish out with a little game called Rich Man and Poor Man. Now, I'll explain. I'm definitely taking one of these English. I can tell you that right. Rich Man, Poor Man is something I thought of years and years ago. I was sitting in a writer's room, Hollywood writer's room with guys, you know, and I had the concept of an outdoor shower. And I thought, if you're taking an outdoor shower, you're either really rich or really poor. It's either, you know, backyard, pool, tennis court, tennis, you know, beautiful, or front yard, dirt wall, and Pacifico standing and watching, right? But it's not a middle class thing. So these are things that the rich and the poor have in common. You're on a first name basis with the judge. Or you're either golfing with him at the country club, or you've been dragged in front of him for the 7th time in 10 days, right? You know the going rate for copper. Well, you're either in LA pulling it out of a street light, or you're up at night on the NASDAQ trading futures, right? You feed your dog people food. You're either, you know, the rich lovey at home broiling up the chicken, or you're sharing your McNuggets out on the street. I know. You have the key to the executive restroom. Well, you're either the executive or the guy who cleans the toilets for the executive. Nah. You're an expert in squatter's law. Okay. You send your money to a different country. It's either Switzerland or El Salvador, right? You enter the restaurant through the kitchen door. You're either George Clooney or you're being chased by ice. You have your own fragrance. Well, either you Sean Penn. When you enter a fancy department store, somebody who works at that department store rushes toward you screaming, "May I help you?" You have sex with a maid, or you're either Arnold Schwarzenegger, or you live with the maid. Not a middle class thing. You have your own podcast. We're not all tennis, ladies and gentlemen. And last but not least, you live next door to a rapper. You're in Malibu with Jay-Z and Beyonce, or you're in Van Nuys, California, a crappy apartment building, and there's a 14-year-old white kid who lives above you who goes by the handle of mayonnaise. All right. I will end with something inspirational. I was saying, and it's something I've been saying for a while now in terms of California. I mentioned it last night, but many of you weren't at the event last night because, quite frankly, you're not as important as those who were. They say don't say it, but I can read the room. It's obvious. And I've said it, and I remember saying it initially, I think, when I was talking to Tucker Carlson about I was on his show about 10 years ago, and he said, when are things going to change in California? And the number one answer amongst the sane people, such as my friend Dr. Drew, and anyone else will go, we haven't bottomed out yet. Why must we bottom out? Why can't we change now? Why do we have to wait till we hit the bottom? I said, look, let's say you had a teenage son, and you went in his room and you found drug paraphernalia, and he kept missing school, and he seemed detached and irritated and in anguish, and you found cocaine and heroin in his nightstand, and you said, I'm thinking about putting this boy in a clinic. I want to get this kid some help. Do you think your wife would say, hold on, wait till he flatlines. Wait till his heart stops beating, and then we can make our move. Call me crazy. Why don't we make it on the way down to bottoming out? And hopefully, I mean, we can see the bottom from here. Isn't that enough? Hopefully, these fires will mark that. To me, when people go, have we hit bottom yet? Yes, we're in rubble and ashes. That is officially the bottom. Thanks, you guys, for having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah!
He has a gift package here that he's probably going to be willing to trade for whoever wins on
This is going in the cooler, right?
Thank you very much. I have a special announcement. I know there's probably a woman who's out freaking out right now because she thinks she lost her iPhone. The iPhone was returned to me as the MC of the event, and it is back there at that table. You can ask the man who's standing up back there, he's waving. You have to answer a few questions, but we don't know that might not be your phone. Don't let anybody rush back there trying to get the phone. But yes, the phone was found, and it is going to be right back there waiting for you. You're welcome. Can you imagine life without a phone?
I've been live.
Adam Carolla is going to be here. You want to put some pictures of me in the back.
There's barely
Also,
anybody on.
you
There was
can
like
have
38
your book
people.
signed. He's signing books back out there at the table as well. Once again, very thank you. A big thank you to Adam Carolla coming out.
Yeah.
Absolutely understand what's happening in California. I heard him explain once what would have to happen on Ocean Drive to get things changed, and it was like complicated. And you knew right then and there that they weren't going to do that. Not in California. Oh, one more announcement. Everybody gets a shirt. Everybody gets a shirt out there waiting for you. And if you get an opportunity, you might want to sign the Charlie Kirk Memorial. All right. Again, we want to welcome, we're going to have a raffle right now. We have 3 prizes to raffle off. And I want to invite up the church. This is Ms. Ross. Ms. Ross. Charlie Ross. There we go.
So we'll see. I'm hoping. Technically supposed to be 12, but I mean 13. This is special. This is
We're going to have a first.
I don't know if you're in Arizona or if you're in another state, but there are Republican grassroots organizations near you. I had no idea about this one.
And you didn't know
If you're in Arizona.
I told you a little bit earlier, but you missed right. Here we go. 993 726 993 726.
So this event's pretty much over. They're just doing the raffle now. We're volunteering here. And so I'm going to let you all go. Thank you for joining me today. Have a blessed day. Get involved with your local Republican grassroots effort, whatever it is. There's probably like 5 or 10 of them near you. Turning Point is a great one. This one's Keep AZ Free. Free Enterprise Club. Liberty Club. There's got to be a Republican grassroots effort near you. So I encourage you to volunteer, to join one, and I'll let you go. Have a blessed day. Thank you for joining me.